Part 1. The Broken Champion. The transport ship rattled as it entered Vrath Prime's atmosphere. Jiwoo pressed her face against the small window, watching the massive planet grow larger. 3 months ago, she was a scientist studying space creatures. Now, she was a prisoner, wearing chains on her wrists and ankles. The guards were tall aliens with purple skin and 4 arms. They laughed as they pushed the prisoners toward the exit. All of them looked more dangerous. She was the only human. "Move faster, small one," a guard said in broken common tongue. He pushed Jiwoo hard. She stumbled, but didn't fall. Through the window, she could see the arena. It was enormous, bigger than any stadium on Earth. The walls were made of dark metal that seemed to drink in the light. Thousands of ships surrounded it, bringing visitors from across the galaxy. The ship landed with a heavy thud. The doors opened, and hot air rushed in. Jiwoo smelled something burning, something chemical. The guards pulled the prisoners out onto a metal platform. Below them, the city stretched in all directions. But Jiwoo only looked at the arena. It dominated everything. A dark mountain of metal and violence. They were taken underground through narrow tunnels. The walls were wet and covered in strange markings. Jiwoo tried to read them, but her translator couldn't identify the language. Water dripped from the ceiling. Somewhere far away, she heard roaring. Not human roaring. Something else. Something big. The guards threw them into a large holding cell. The floor was covered in old straw. The walls had scratches everywhere, deep gouges that looked like claw marks. Jiwoo counted 20 other prisoners already there. They sat in small groups, divided by species. A human man approached her. He was thin, with a long beard and tired eyes. "You're human," he said in Korean. His accent was old-fashioned, from Earth's northern regions. "Yes," Jiwoo replied in the same language. "My name is Jiwoo. I'm Daewon." He sat down beside her. "How long have you been captured?" 3 months. They took my research ship near the outer colonies." Daewon nodded slowly. "I've been here 2 years. Worked as an engineer on a mining station. Pirates sold me to the entertainment guilds." He looked at her chains. "They put you in light chains. That means you're scheduled soon." Jiwoo's stomach turned cold. "Scheduled for what?" "The arena." Daewon pointed at the scratches on the walls. "They don't put criminals in the main fights. We're not trained. We're not warriors. They use us for entertainment before the real matches." He paused. "They feed us to the Titans." "Titans? You'll see." Daewon's voice was flat, emotionless. "I've watched it happen to 43 people. Humans, Crothians, Venlari. Doesn't matter. The Titans kill everything." Jiwoo looked around the cell. Everyone was quiet. No one talked much. They all had the same look in their eyes. They were already dead, just waiting for it to become official. "Tell me about the Titans," Jiwoo said. Daewon seemed surprised. "Why? It won't help. I'm a xenobiologist. I study alien creatures. Tell me everything." For the next hour, Daewon talked. The Titans were bioengineered war beasts, created centuries ago by a long-dead empire. Each one was unique, grown in laboratories from the DNA of the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. They were huge, some over 50 feet tall. They had armored skin, claws that could cut through steel, and intelligence enough to hunt. "But here's the thing," Daewon said. "Nobody can control them. The arena tried for decades. They used pain, implants, reward systems, chemical conditioning. Nothing works. The Titans kill anyone who enters the arena with them. Warriors, trainers, handlers, everyone." "Then why keep them?" Jiwoo asked. "Because watching them kill is the most popular entertainment in the Empire. People pay fortunes to see a Titan fight, and before each main event, they throw in prisoners." Daewon looked at the floor. "They throw us in to make the Titans angry, to warm them up." That night, Jiwoo couldn't sleep. She lay on the hard floor, listening to the other prisoners breathe. Some of them cried quietly. Some prayed to gods she didn't recognize. She thought about her research, about the creatures she studied before her capture. The most dangerous animals were often the most misunderstood. Earth had learned that lesson centuries ago. Sharks, wolves, bears, all feared, all hunted, until humans finally understood them. Not as monsters, but as animals with needs and behaviors and logic. Could the same be true for these titans? The next morning, guards came for her. Jiwoo stood up calmly. Daewon grabbed her arm. "Fight it," he whispered. "Don't just accept it." "I won't," Jiwoo said. But she didn't mean she would fight. She meant something else. They took her through more tunnels. She could hear crowds now, thousands of voices screaming and cheering. The sound grew louder with each step. Finally, they reached a small room with a single gate. Beyond the gate, she could see sand and bright lights. A tall alien stood waiting. He had 6 arms, scales like a snake, and eyes that looked at her like she was nothing. "Human," he said in perfect common tongue. "I am Overseer Vrath. Welcome to your death." Other aliens stood around him, all wearing expensive clothes. They held drinks and laughed. This was entertainment for them. A party. "Your kind is weak," the Overseer continued. "You have no claws, no armor, no strength. Earth was barely worth cataloging. You are the lowest species in our empire." He smiled, showing sharp teeth. "Today, you will prove why." Jiwoo looked at him calmly. "What will I face?" Gorath, the oldest Titan. He has killed 847 beings. You will be 848. The Overseer gestured to a screen on the wall. It showed a massive creature in a holding pen. Even through the video, Jiwoo could see how huge it was. Scales like black mirrors, claws as long as her body, eyes that glowed red. But she also saw something else. The way Gorath moved, jerky and aggressive. The way he attacked the walls randomly. The way his body trembled. That wasn't natural behavior. That was stress. The gate began to open. Light poured in. Jiwoo could hear the crowd roaring. The Overseer pushed her forward. "Die well, human. Make it entertaining." Jiwoo walked into the arena. The sand was hot under her bare feet. The walls rose high on all sides, covered with thousands of alien faces, all screaming. Giant screens showed her face, magnified 100 times. On the other side of the arena, another gate opened. Gorath emerged into the light. He was even bigger than she expected. Part 2. The First Command. Gorath stood 40 feet tall. His body was covered in black scales that reflected the arena lights like dark mirrors. Each scale was as big as Jiwoo's hand. His legs were thick as tree trunks, ending in claws that dug deep into the sand. His head was massive, with a mouth full of teeth and eyes that burned red. The crowd screamed louder. They wanted blood. Jiwoo stood still. Her heart was beating fast, but she forced herself to breathe slowly. She watched Gorath carefully. He wasn't looking at her yet. He was turning his head left and right, as if searching for something. His movements were sharp, aggressive, but also confused. Gorath roared. The sound was so loud that Jiwoo felt it in her chest. Sand lifted from the ground. The crowd loved it. They screamed even louder. But Jiwoo noticed something. Gorath's roar wasn't directed at her. He was roaring at the walls, at the lights, at everything around him. This wasn't hunting behavior. This was distress. High above the arena, in a cell cut into the stone wall. Hyun watched through metal bars. He was a human scout, captured during a border conflict. He had been imprisoned here for 8 months. In that time, he had watched dozens of executions. He had seen warriors try to fight the Titans. He had seen them try to run. He had seen them beg. Nothing ever worked. The Titans always killed. But this woman wasn't running. She was just standing there, watching. Gorath finally noticed Jiwoo. His red eyes focused on her small figure. He lowered his head and made a deep growling sound. His body tensed, preparing to charge. The crowd went silent for a moment, waiting for the violence. Jiwoo didn't move. She was studying Gorath's body language. The way his muscles tensed. The way his claws dug into the sand. The way his head tilted. She had spent years studying predators. Every movement told a story. Gorath charged. The ground shook. Sand exploded into the air. The Titan moved incredibly fast for something so large. His jaws opened wide. His claws reached forward. Jiwoo took one step forward, not back. Then she made a sound. It came from deep in her throat, a low-frequency hum that most species couldn't produce. Humans had a unique vocal range, something Earth's evolution had given them. Jiwoo had used sounds like this in her research, studying how different frequencies affected animal behavior. The sound wasn't loud, but it was deep. It resonated through the arena. Gorath stopped. His front claws dug into the sand, just 10 feet from Jiwoo. Sand rained down on her head. But he stopped. The arena fell completely silent. Gorath's eyes were still red, still angry. But he wasn't moving. His head tilted, listening. Jiwoo continued, making the sound, steady and rhythmic. She watched his body language change. The tension in his muscles decreased slightly. His claws relaxed. She took a small step to the side. Gorath's head followed her movement. In the Overseer's viewing platform, Vrath leaned forward. His 6 arms gripped the railing. "What is she doing?" he whispered. One of his advisors checked a data screen. "The sound she's making. It's matching the frequency of Gorath's neural implants." "Impossible," Vrath said. "Humans can't access those frequencies." "Apparently they can." Jiwoo continued to move slowly, making the humming sound. She was reading the information on the giant screens around the arena. They showed Gorath's vital signs for the audience's entertainment. Heart rate, neural activity, electromagnetic field readings. She could see patterns in the data. The neural implants were causing pain. Constant, severe pain. The frequency she was using didn't control the implants, but it interfered with them, creating moments of relief. Gorath wasn't a mindless killer. He was a tortured animal. Jiwoo raised her right hand slowly. Gorath's massive head tracked the movement. She kept her hand open, palm up, not threatening, not aggressive, just visible. The crowd started murmuring. This had never happened before. Titans didn't pause. They didn't watch. They killed. Hyun pressed his face against the bars of his cell. "Come on," he whispered. "Keep going." Other human prisoners gathered around him. There were 5 humans in the cell block, all captured from different places. They had all given up hope. But now, they watched this impossible scene. Jiwoo took another step. She was now standing directly in front of Gorath. She had to tilt her head all the way back to see his face. He could kill her with one movement, one bite, one swing of his claw. But he didn't. Instead, Gorath lowered his head. Slowly, carefully, he brought his massive face down until it was level with Jiwoo. She could feel his breath, hot and smelling like metal. His red eyes were as big as her head. She stopped making the humming sound. For a moment, there was only silence. Then Jiwoo spoke. "I know it hurts," she said quietly. The crowd couldn't hear her words, but the microphones in the arena picked them up. Her voice echoed across the speakers. "I know. They hurt you. I can help." Gorath made a sound. Not a roar. Something softer, almost like a whimper. Jiwoo reached up and placed her hand on his nose. The crowd exploded. Aliens were standing, pointing, shouting. This was impossible. This was breaking every rule. This was something that had never happened in 300 years of arena history. Overseer Vrath slammed his fist on the railing. "Kill her!" he shouted. "Activate the pain implants. Make him kill her." His advisor pressed controls. Gorath's body suddenly tensed. His eyes brightened. He opened his mouth and roared in agony. Jiwoo didn't move her hand. "I know," she said. "I know they're hurting you." The advisor increased the pain signal. Gorath lifted his head and roared again. His claws tore through the sand. But he didn't attack Jiwoo. The crowd was in chaos now. Aliens were shouting at each other. Some were demanding their money back. Others were fascinated. The betting systems had crashed. Nobody had placed bets on anything except how quickly the human would die. Vrath stood frozen. According to arena law, if any being successfully commanded an apex titan, they became a registered handler. It was an ancient law, created when the titans were first made, but no one had invoked it in 3 centuries. Every handler who tried had died in minutes. His advisor spoke quietly. "Overseer, the law is clear. She's human," Vrath spat. "The law doesn't specify species." Vrath looked down at the arena. Jiwoo was still standing there, hand on Gorath's face. The titan was trembling, fighting the pain, implants, but not attacking. Finally, Vrath spoke into the arena's communication system. His voice boomed across the speakers. "The human has invoked handler law. By ancient right, she may compete in the grand tournament." He paused, his voice full of hate. "If she wins 5 consecutive matches, she earns freedom. Every handler before her has died. She will be no different." Jiwoo looked up at the overseer's platform. She couldn't see his face from so far away, but she could hear the hate in his voice. "I accept," she said clearly. "But I have a condition. If I win, all human prisoners go free." The crowd gasped. Aliens muttered to each other. This was bold. This was insane. Vrath laughed, a harsh sound. "Agreed. When you fail, it will be even more entertaining." Guards entered the arena and led Jiwoo toward the handler's quarters. Gorath followed her, his massive body moving carefully. He stayed close to her, as if afraid she would disappear. As they left, Hyun whispered to the other humans in his cell. "She did it. She actually did it. She's going to die in the first match," another human said. "Maybe," Hyun replied. "But at least she tried. At least she showed them we're not nothing." Deep in the arena's tunnels, Jiwoo walked beside Gorath. Her mind was already working, planning. She had bought herself time. Now she needed to understand these implants, understand Gorath, understand how to survive. Because she hadn't just accepted for herself. She had made a promise to free her people, and she intended to keep it. Part 3. The Challenge. They gave Jiwoo a small room in the handler's quarter. It was better than the cell, but still felt like a prison. The walls were metal. The bed was hard. A single window looked out over the practice arenas below. Gorath was kept in a massive pen next to her room, separated by thick bars. The first night, Jiwoo couldn't sleep. She sat by the window, watching Gorath pace in his pen. Even now, his movements were wrong. He would walk forward, then suddenly turn and attack the wall. Then he would stop and tremble. The neural implants never gave him peace. A knock came at her door. Jiwoo opened it carefully. Daewon stood there, carrying tools and equipment. Behind him were 2 guards. "I've been assigned as your maintenance crew," Daewon said in Korean. The guards didn't understand the language. Handlers are allowed technical support. Jiwoo let him in. As soon as the door closed, Daewon grabbed her shoulders. "Are you insane? Do you know what you've done?" "I bought time," Jiwoo said. "You bought a slower death. The tournament matches are brutal. Warriors train their whole lives and still die. You're a scientist. Then help me." Jiwoo pulled him to the window. "Look at Gorath. Really look at him. What do you see? Daewon watched the Titan pace. After a moment, he frowned. He moves like a machine that's breaking down. Said, exactly. The neural implants aren't control devices. They're torture devices. They cause constant pain, forcing the Titans into aggression, but it's destroying them from the inside. Jiwoo pointed to a data screen on her wall that showed Gorath's vitals. His neural patterns are fragmenting. His body is under constant stress. If this continues, he'll die within 5 years. So, what can we do? Daewon asked. Can you access those implants? Reduce the pain signals without alerting the guards? Daewon thought for a moment. Maybe. I'd need to work during feeding times when the guards aren't watching the monitors closely. But Jiwoo, even if we reduce his pain, that doesn't mean he'll fight with you. These matches are against trained killers. I know, Jiwoo said. That's why I need more help. Over the next 3 days, Jiwoo met the other support staff assigned to her. They were all prisoners working off their sentences. Among them was Minji, a human medic captured from a colony ship. She was young, maybe 25, with quick hands and observant eyes. You're really going through with this? Minji asked when they first met. She was checking Jiwoo's physical condition, as required before matches. I don't have a choice, Jiwoo said. We always have choices. Minji pressed a scanner against Jiwoo's chest. My choice was to stay alive by being useful. Your choice is to be brave or stupid. I haven't decided which yet. Can you teach me? Jiwoo asked. Teach you what? How to hurt things. You're a medic. You know anatomy. You know where bodies are weak. Minji stopped her scanning. She looked at Jiwoo for a long moment. Then she smiled slightly. You're not as helpless as you look, are you? I'm a scientist. I observe, I learn, I adapt. Help me adapt. For the next week, Minji taught Jiwoo the pressure points and weak spots of different alien species, where their joints bent, where their organs were located, where a small human could strike to cause maximum damage. It wasn't much, but it was something. Meanwhile, Daewon worked on Gorath's implants. He couldn't remove them that would trigger alarms, but he found ways to reduce the pain frequency by small amounts. Every day, Gorath became slightly calmer. Jiwoo spent hours with Gorath, studying his movements and sounds. She learned to read his body language. When his tail moved left, he was alert. When his scales darkened, he was stressed. When he made a low rumbling sound, he was content. She also learned that Gorath was intelligent. Not just animal smart. Actually intelligent. He understood complex commands. He remembered patterns. He even seemed to understand when she was trying to help him. One evening, Jiwoo sat in Gorath's pen with him. The guards had protested, but handler law allowed it. Gorath lay down. His massive body curled around her like a protective wall. They made you into a weapon, Jiwoo said quietly, running her hand along his scales. But you're not just a weapon. You're alive. You feel pain. You feel fear. She pressed her forehead against his side. I feel those things too. We're not so different. Gorath made a soft rumbling sound. The first match was announced. Jiwoo would face a Crothian warmaster named Dakar and his death pack. Crothians were famous warriors, and Dakar had won 43 matches. His death pack consisted of 6 trained beasts, each one deadly. The night before the match, Hyun managed to send a message down from the prisoner cells. It was written on a scrap of cloth, delivered by a sympathetic guard. We're watching. All the humans are watching. Win or lose, you've shown them we're not weak. Thank you. Jiwoo folded the cloth carefully and kept it. The next morning, she walked into the arena. The crowd was even bigger than before. News had spread across the galaxy. A human handler. The first Titan command in 300 years. Everyone wanted to see what would happen. Gorath walked beside her. His scales had brightened slightly. The pain reduction was working. He moved more smoothly now, more naturally. On the other side of the arena, Dakar entered. He was 8 feet tall, covered in armor made from the bones of his defeated enemies. His death pack surrounded him 6 creatures that looked like wolves mixed with lizards, each one the size of a horse. The overseer's voice boomed. Dakar, the undefeated, versus the human and her pet titan. Begin, overseer. Dakar roared and charged. His death pack spread out, trying to surround Jiwoo and Gorath. Jiwoo didn't panic. She had studied footage of Dakar's previous fights. He always used the same strategy. Surround and overwhelm. His pack would attack from all sides while he struck from the front. Gorath, Jiwoo said calmly. Circle. Gorath moved immediately. He began walking in a circle around Jiwoo, his tail sweeping the sand. The death pack couldn't get close. Every time one tried, Gorath was there. Dakar realized his strategy wasn't working. He changed tactics and charged directly at Gorath. His bone armor was strong. He carried a blade as long as Jiwoo's body. Jiwoo pointed. Left shoulder. Gorath struck. His claw hit exactly where Jiwoo indicated. It was the weak point in Dakar's armor, where the plates connected. The armor shattered. Dakar stumbled. The death pack tried to help their master. They rushed forward all at once. Sweep, Jiwoo said. Gorath's tail swung around in a wide arc. It hit all 6 creatures at once, sending them flying across the arena. Dakar was back on his feet, bleeding but still fighting. He raised his blade and screamed a battle cry. Jiwoo watched him carefully. She saw the way he favored his right leg. An old injury, probably. She saw the way he breathed hard, struggling. The charge had tired him. Wait, she told Gorath. They stood still. Dakar circled, looking for an opening. His death pack regrouped behind him. Then Dakar made his move. He feinted left, then struck right, going for Jiwoo directly. If he could kill the handler, the match was over. But Jiwoo had expected this. She rolled to the side barely, but enough. Dakar's blade struck sand. Gorath's jaws closed on Dakar's right leg. The Crothian screamed. He tried to pull free, but Gorath's grip was unbreakable. Yield! Jiwoo shouted at Dakar. Dakar looked at her with hate. But his leg was broken. His death pack was scattered. He had no choice. I yield, he gasped. Gorath released him immediately. Medical teams rushed in to collect Dakar and his pack. The arena was silent for 3 heartbeats. Then it erupted in noise. Half the crowd was cheering. Half was booing. Everyone was shouting. Jiwoo and Gorath walked out of the arena together. 4 minutes. The match had lasted only 4 minutes. In the overseer's platform, Vrath threw his drink against the wall. His advisor spoke carefully. She's not fighting like a warrior. She's fighting like a scientist. She studies her opponents. She finds their weaknesses. And she uses Gorath like a tool, not a weapon. It won't work again, Vrath said. The next opponent will be prepared. But in her room, Jiwoo was already studying footage of her next match. She had 4 more to win. 4 more until her people went free. She would find a way. She had to. Part 4. The final trial. The second match came 5 days later. Jiwoo faced a Thane berserker named Korax. The Thane were a species known for feeling no pain. Korax had metal implants covering half his body. He fought with pure rage and never stopped until his opponent was dead. Jiwoo studied him carefully. No pain meant she couldn't use pressure points, but it also meant he couldn't tell when his body was damaged. She could use that. The match lasted 6 minutes. Jiwoo had Gorath target Korax's legs repeatedly. The berserker didn't feel it, but his legs still stopped working. When he couldn't stand, Jiwoo called for his yield. He refused. She had Gorath pin him to the ground until the judges stopped the match. The third match was against a quorum hive mind, 20 small creatures that shared one consciousness. They moved like water, flowing around obstacles. Traditional attacks didn't work because killing one did nothing. Jiwoo won by having Gorath create vibrations in the sand. The frequency disrupted the hive mind's shared consciousness. They scattered in confusion and surrendered. The fourth match was against a stellar leviathan, a creature that could fly and spit acid. Jiwoo won by studying weather patterns in the arena. She waited for a wind shift, then had Gorath throw sand into the leviathan's eyes when it tried to dive. Blinded, it crashed and yielded. The fifth match was supposed to be against twin Void Reapers. Fast, deadly, perfect coordination. But when Jiwoo entered the arena for the fifth match, Overseer Vrath was waiting with an announcement. "The human has made a mockery of our traditions," his voice boomed. "She wins, not through strength, but through tricks. This ends now." He gestured widely. For her final match, the rules change. She will face not one opponent, but 12 Apex Titans simultaneously. The crowd gasped. Even the most bloodthirsty aliens knew this was wrong. 12 Titans at once? That wasn't a match. That was an execution. Jiwoo felt her blood turn cold. In the viewing cells, the human prisoners pressed against their bars. Hyun slammed his fist against the metal. "That's not legal! She earned her matches!" But nobody listened to prisoners. Daewon and Minji rushed to Jiwoo's preparation room. "You can't do this," Daewon said. "This is murder. Refuse. Force them to honor the original terms. They'll just kill me anyway," Jiwoo said quietly. "And all of you will stay prisoners forever. Better we stay prisoners than you die," Minji said. Jiwoo looked at both of them. "I'm already dead. I was dead the moment they captured my ship. But now I have a chance to save you. All of you." She touched Minji's hand. "That's worth it." She turned to Gorath, who stood in his pen, watching. Over the past weeks, they had developed something beyond handler and beast. They understood each other. They trusted each other. "I'm sorry," Jiwoo said to him. "I'm asking too much of you." Gorath rumbled softly and lowered his head. She pressed her forehead against his scales. The arena gates opened. Jiwoo walked out with Gorath. The crowd was quieter now. Even they knew this was wrong. But they still watched. They always watched. Across the arena, 12 gates opened. 12 Titans emerged. They were all different species, all different sizes. But they all had one thing in common: the red eyes that meant maximum pain frequency. The Overseer had activated all their implants to full power. They were in pure rage mode. The Titans roared together. The sound shook the entire arena. Sand lifted into the air. Small cracks appeared in the walls. Jiwoo stood in the center, surrounded. She had no plan. There was no strategy for this. 12 Titans, all in rage mode, all programmed to kill. Gorath positioned himself in front of her, but even he couldn't defend against 12 at once. The Titans began to circle. They were coordinating, using pack hunting behavior. They would strike together, overwhelming both Jiwoo and Gorath instantly. Jiwoo closed her eyes. Her mind raced. The implants. The frequency. The pain. She opened her eyes. It was insane. It would probably fail, but it was the only chance. "Daewon," she said into her communication device. "Can you hear me?" "Daewon," she said in the port. "Daewon." In his workshop, Daewon grabbed his radio. "Yes. What do you need?" "Patch me into the arena's speaker system. All frequencies. Maximum amplification." "What? Why?" "Just do it. Now." Daewon's fingers flew across his controls. "Done. You're connected." Jiwoo took a deep breath. Then she began to sing. It wasn't a pretty song. It wasn't even really a song. It was the same humming frequency she had used with Gorath, but amplified. She modulated it, changed it, adapted it. She made it resonate through every speaker in the arena. The sound was deep and overwhelming. It vibrated in everyone's chest, The alien crowd covered their ears. But Jiwoo wasn't singing for them. She was singing for the Titans. The frequency matched their neural implants. All of them. Every implant in the arena was designed with the same base frequency. What worked on Gorath's implants worked on all of them. The Titans stopped their charge. One by one, they froze. Their red eyes flickered. The rage began to fade. Jiwoo kept singing. She was using every bit of her lung capacity. Her throat burned. Her head pounded. But she didn't stop. The Titans began to calm. Their aggressive postures relaxed. They looked around in confusion. As if waking from a nightmare, Jiwoo changed her song. She made it softer, gentler, a soothing rhythm. The nearest Titan, a massive creature covered in spikes, took a step toward her. Not aggressive. Then another Titan moved closer. Then another. Soon, all 12 Titans surrounded Jiwoo. But they weren't attacking. They were listening. Jiwoo stopped singing. Her voice was gone. She could barely whisper. But the Titans didn't attack. They just stood there. Calm for the first time in years. The arena was completely silent. Thousands of aliens sat frozen, unable to process what they were seeing. Jiwoo walked forward slowly. She approached the nearest Titan and placed her hand on its leg. "I know it hurts," she whispered. "I know they hurt all of you." The Titan lowered its massive head. She touched its face. One by one, Jiwoo moved through the circle of Titans. She touched each one. They responded to her. These massive killing machines. Like children seeking comfort. Gorath watched all this. Then he moved. He walked up to the Overseer's viewing platform. The other 11 Titans followed him. They didn't roar. They didn't attack. They just stood there, looking up at the platform. 13 Apex Titans, all focused on the Overseer. The message was clear. Touch her and face us. Vrath stumbled backward. His 6 arms trembled. For the first time in his life, he felt true fear. High above in the viewing cells, Hyun and the other humans were crying. They couldn't believe it. She had done the impossible. The Galactic Council was contacted immediately. What happened in the arena couldn't be ignored. Within hours, officials arrived. They interviewed Jiwoo, examined the Titans, reviewed all the data. The arena was shut down pending investigation. All matches were cancelled. 3 days later, the Council's decision came. The Titans were to be removed from the arena immediately. Jiwoo was appointed as their primary researcher and guardian. The neural implants would be removed properly, under medical supervision, and all human prisoners were to be released immediately with full compensation. In the prisoner cells, the guards opened the doors. Hyun couldn't move at first. Freedom felt impossible after so long. But then Daewon grabbed his arm. "Come on." She did it. She actually did it. 5 humans walked out of the cells that day. They were thin, scarred, broken by their imprisonment. But they were free. Jiwoo met them in the processing area. They stood together. These 6 humans who had survived when the galaxy said they were weak. "Thank you," Hyun said quietly. "Don't thank me," Jiwoo replied. Her voice was still hoarse from her singing. "Thank Gorath. Thank all of them. They're the real victims here." Minji hugged Jiwoo. "What happens now?" "Now we make sure this never happens again," Jiwoo said. "Not to Titans. Not to any species." She looked back at the arena, that massive monument to violence and cruelty. Soon, it would be empty. Soon, the Titans would know peace. The galaxy had jeered when she arrived. Now, they had no choice but to listen. Part 5. The Price of Underestimation. 6 months after the arena incident, Jiwoo stood on a hilltop on Sanctuary World 7. The planet had been chosen specifically for the Titans. Wide open spaces, clean air, plenty of food, no kahis, Goroth lay beside her. His massive body relaxed in the sun. His scales had changed color over the months. They were lighter now, almost silver instead of black. The removal of the neural implants had saved his life. All 13 Titans had survived the procedure. They're adapting well, Daewon said, walking up the hill. He carried monitoring equipment. Their stress levels have dropped 80%. Neural patterns are normalizing. In another year, they'll be completely healthy. Good, Jiwoo said. She watched the other Titans moving across the plains below. They were learning to hunt natural prey, to interact with each other without aggression. They were learning to be animals instead of weapons. Daewon sat down beside her. The Galactic Institute sent another request. They want you to come teach at their xenobiology department. They're offering a full professorship. Thank you for watching. They're offering a full professorship. I know, Jiwoo said. I got the same message. You should take it. You could change how the entire galaxy thinks about creatures like the Titans. Maybe later. Jiwoo touched Goroth's scales. Right now, they need me here. A shuttle landed nearby. Hyun stepped out, wearing the uniform of the Galactic Rangers. He had been accepted into their training program 2 months ago. He was humanity's first representative in the peacekeeping force. Reporting for inspection duty, Hyun said with a smile. The Rangers had assigned him to check on the Titan sanctuary regularly. It was supposed to be a routine task. But Hyun had volunteered. He wanted to see the place that Jiwoo had made possible. Everything is quiet, Jiwoo said. The Titans are doing well. Hyun looked out over the plains. It's strange, isn't it? 6 months ago, these creatures were the most feared beings in the Empire. Now they're just animals, living peaceful lives. They were always just animals, Jiwoo said. The Empire made them into weapons. We just reminded them what they really were. Another shuttle arrived. This one was larger. Medical transport. Minji stepped out, followed by a team of alien doctors. She had established the first human-led medical exchange program. Alien species were learning human medical techniques, and Minji was learning from them. I brought the quarterly health team, Minji said. We need to check on Titan number 7. He's been limping. Minji said. 8. Minji said. Old injury from the arena, Jiwoo said. I'll show you. They walked down the hill together. The alien doctors were nervous around the Titans at first, but Jiwoo showed them how to approach safely. The Titans were calm, allowing the examination. That evening, they all gathered around a fire. Jiwoo, Daewon, Hyun, Minji, and 2 other humans who had been freed from the arena. They cooked food and told stories. I heard Earth has been getting applications, Hyun said. Other species want to study there. Learn about human approaches to xenobiology, engineering, medicine. Everyone wants to understand how we think differently. It's not that we're smarter, Jiwoo said. We just see things from a different angle. Humanity evolved differently. We developed empathy for species outside our own. Most aliens don't have that. They see other creatures as either useful or threatening. The Empire is changing its policies, Minji added. They're reviewing all their classifications. Thousands of species are being reclassified as sentient or semi-sentient. The Titans were just the beginning. Daewon poked the fire with a stick. I got offered a job at the new Xenobiological Institute. They want me to design habitats for rescued creatures. No more arenas, no more fighting pits, just proper sanctuaries. Are you taking it? Jiwoo asked. Yeah, Daewon smiled. Someone has to make sure they don't mess it up. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the stars come out. On the plains below, the Titans were settling down for the night. Their sounds were peaceful, content. Do you think it will last? Hyun asked quietly. This change? Or will the Empire go back to its old ways? Jiwoo thought about this carefully. Change is always slow. there are still thousands of arenas operating. Still millions who see violence as entertainment. But now, there's doubt. People are asking questions. What else have we misunderstood? What else have we been wrong about? She looked at her friends. That's what humans brought to the galaxy. Not strength. Not technology. Just the courage to question. 3 months later, Jiwoo received an official communication from the Galactic Council. They were creating a new position. Interspecies Understanding Coordinator. ON7T, AC, ATC. The job would involve traveling to different worlds, studying misunderstood species, and teaching others how to interact with them safely. They wanted Jiwoo for the position. She accepted, but with conditions. The Titan Sanctuary would remain her primary responsibility. She would return here regularly, and all her research would be published freely, available to any species that wanted to learn. The Council agreed. 5 years after the arena incident, the changes were visible everywhere. The former arena of Vrath Prime had been converted into the Galactic Institute of Interspecies Understanding. Thousands of students from hundreds of species studied there. The institute's first director was Jiwoo. She taught classes on xenobiology, empathy-based training, and ethical treatment of all creatures. Her methods were controversial at first, but they worked. Species that had been considered uncontrollable were successfully rehabilitated. Creatures deemed too dangerous were proven safe with proper understanding. Hyun had become a senior ranger, leading teams that rescued animals from illegal fighting operations. Daewon designed sanctuaries across 20 systems. Minji ran a hospital that treated both aliens and creatures with equal care. Humanity's reputation in the galaxy had changed completely. Once considered weak and insignificant, humans were now sought as mediators, researchers, and teachers. Earth received thousands of requests for human consultants, human engineers, human doctors. But Jiwoo knew the real change was deeper than that. The galaxy was learning to see beyond strength and power. They were learning to value understanding, patience, and compassion. On the 10th anniversary of the arena incident, Jiwoo returned to Sanctuary World 7. Gorath was still there, now much older. His scales were almost white. He moved slowly, but his eyes were bright and alert. She sat with him on their favorite hilltop, watching the younger Titans play on the plains below. Some of them had been born here, never knowing the pain of the arena. They were wild and free. "You saved them," Daewon said, sitting beside her. He was older too, with gray in his hair. "We saved them," Jiwoo corrected. "All of us together. The Institute wants to name the new wing after you," Daewon said. "The Jiwoo Center for Ethical Xenobiology." Jiwoo laughed. "That's too long. Just call it the Empathy Wing. You're modest for someone who changed an entire empire." "I didn't change the empire," Jiwoo said, looking out at the peaceful scene before her. "Gorath did. He and all the other Titans. They showed the galaxy what happens when you treat thinking beings with cruelty. They showed everyone the cost of misunderstanding." She touched Gorath's scales gently. He rumbled contentedly, a sound he never could have made in the arena. "You know what the real lesson was?" Jiwoo said quietly. "The galaxy thought power meant strength. Big muscles, sharp claws, advanced weapons. They thought humans were weak because we didn't have those things. But we had something else," Daewon said. "Yes. We had the ability to see beyond the surface, to look at a tortured creature and see not a monster, but a victim, to look at an impossible situation and find a solution that didn't involve violence." Jiwoo smiled. "That's humanity's real strength. Not that we're better than other species, but that we're willing to understand them." As the sun set over Sanctuary World 7, Jiwoo thought about that day in the arena. The day she walked into the sand expecting to die. The day the crowd jeered her arrival. The day they fell silent when Gorath obeyed her command. Except it was never about obedience. It was never about command. It was about trust. And trust, Jiwoo had proven, was worth more than all the weapons and armor in the galaxy. The arena had fallen silent that day, and in that silence, the galaxy had finally learned to listen, not to the roar of violence, but to the quiet voice of understanding. Gorath rested his massive head on the ground beside Jiwoo. "Thank you," she whispered to him. Gorath made a soft sound. In his own way, he was saying the same thing back. Around them, the Titans of Sanctuary World 7 lived in peace. Above them, the stars shone bright. And across the galaxy, thousands of species were learning a simple truth that humans had known all along. The greatest strength isn't the power to destroy. It's the courage to understand. And that courage, once shared, could change everything.